The Ministry of Truth has learnt of 5 different traitor groups operating within the known galaxy at this very moment. Pay close attention and ensure you report anyone who aligns with any of these groups to your nearest democracy officer. If you've ever found yourself feeling closer to cockroaches, fleas, ticks, or any kind of filthy insect, then you may well be a bug sympathizer. But there are those individuals who feel some kind of compassion for our dreaded enemies, the Terminids.
Don't shoot my friendly Terminid. This is my pet.
Yes, these deluded fools actually believe that the disgusting bugs are tragic victims of Super Earth instead of the other way around. Their delusion goes so deep that they have even created an organization known as Humans Against Terminid Exploitation, or H.A.T.E for short. According to our research, H.A.T.E believes that Super Earth is the real invader and that it is us who have exploited the bugs for the element 710, or E710, they provide in abundance. As you all know, E710 is an extremely energy-dense substance that we use to fuel our FTL drives and is thus a necessary component in the galactic war. While it is true that the bugs are a major source of this fuel supply, this is not the reason why we allow their continued existence. But H.A.T.E also believes that Super Earth has conducted several genetic experiments on the bugs, thus resulting in the creation of the bloated bile spewer. A thorough review of official Super records reveals that Super Earth never has, and never will, genetically experiment on the Terminids. Simply put, H.A.T.E consists of maniacs who have no proof whatsoever that Super Earth is or was the aggressor against the Terminids. If anything, the SEAF has done everything it possibly can to reduce the number of bugs in the galaxy. But we were sabotaged by our foes. It is the treacherous scientists who created the Terminid control system that are to blame for this travesty. Were it not for them, the Meridian super colony would never have come into being, and we would not have had to collapse Meridia into the black hole that now stands silently in its place. And it is entirely likely that this event led to the creation and growth of the gloom which has spread across the Terminid front, now encompassing almost a dozen systems. In conclusion, H.A.T.E are arguably some of the worst traitors in the Federation. The leaders of this group will soon be found, and its deranged followers will be sent to re-education camps soon thereafter. Most of H.A.T.E.'s members operate under the radar, so if you encounter any of them on the GWW or elsewhere, ensure that you file a report as soon as possible. Perhaps the most hateful and despicable group of traitors are those known as griefers or Teamkillers. These Helldivers are driven by one thing and one thing only: burning hatred. Yes, if there is any one category of traitors that truly hate democracy and indeed everything around them, it's griefers. It is currently unknown whether these wayward Helldivers actually have any kind of organizational structure, but given their behavior, it is assumed that they are chaotic evil, existing with the sole intent of satisfying their need for pointless destruction. Griefers will often masquerade as loyal Helldivers, participating in missions and doing their part in achieving objectives. However, when the time is right, these monsters will turn on their fellow Helldivers, killing them in a sudden act of violence or systematically murdering them one by one. In numerous recorded cases, these Helldivers will kill their teammates at extraction, denying them their victory at the very last second. It is entirely likely that these Helldivers are so corrupt and irredeemable that they would happily kill off one another, either knowingly or unknowingly, just for the sake of it. Some troops have even resorted to labeling these scumbags psycho divers, as they kill bugs, bots, and humans without discretion or remorse. Griefers are to be considered highly dangerous and the biggest threats to the SEAF. If you and your squad mates encounter these vicious psychopaths in the field, you are authorized to use lethal force to dispatch them. Unfortunately, detecting griefers is often difficult, and by the time Helldivers realize these parasites lurk among them, it is far too late. The Ministry of Truth is currently reviewing ways to keep track of griefers so that they can receive the punishment that is due to them. For now, if you are the victim of one or more griefers, take note of their call signs and report them to your nearest democracy officer as soon as possible. Trust is crucial on the battlefield, but as long as these rotten cowards dwell among us, you will always have to watch your back. There's nothing wrong with taking an interest in machinery or technology, but if you somehow think that robots or artificial entities are superior to humans, you are on the precipice of being a bot sympathizer. There is another broad group divided into several smaller factions that believe Super Earth is the one that started hostilities towards the automatons. So far, the Ministry of Truth has identified the Children of Cyberstan, Acolytes of the Autonomous Mind, and Bot Liberation Front, or BLF, as the primary factions that believe our war with the Clankers is unjust. However, little is known about the size of these organizations organizations, their members, or if they are all working together or simply names applied to one larger organization. Whatever the truth, the overarching narrative is that Super Earth seized Cyberstan, located in the Valdis sector, and enslaved its native inhabitants, the cyborgs. For those of you who attended super history classes, you'll know just how much trouble the cyborgs caused us throughout the course of the First Galactic War some 100 years ago. Unfortunately for the cyborgs, they held the belief that socialism is the ideal structure for a society, and as any true patriot knows, this type of system is doomed to fail. Super Earth was thus compelled to intervene in their peaceful activities and ensure that managed democracy reigned supreme across the cyborgs' homeworld. But the ungrateful citizens of Cyberstan chose to rebel against us, using terror tactics and subterfuge to fight back against Super Earth. This is precisely what led to our campaign against them in the First Galactic War. And now, fueled by an unquenchable thirst for vengeance, the automatons seek to spread the cyborgs' doctrine across the galaxy. As it stands, Cyberstan now serves as the main base of operations for the automatons and possibly their cyborg overlords. Super Earth must push back the bots and retake Cyberstan so their base of power in the galaxy is significantly undermined. Sadly, bot sympathizers do not share our mission and would very much welcome a full-blown automaton invasion of Super Earth. These traitors are dangerous socialists who believe in ideas such as sharing and nationalization, clearly the work of nefarious, undemocratic minds. Bot sympathizers may not be griefers, but they are still extremely dangerous and must be captured so that they too can be re-educated. Rest assured that the Ministry of Truth will continue to monitor their activities and that all those involved will be rounded up in due course. Possibly the single most annoying and perplexing type of traitor you have or will encounter in the field is trolls. Although they share some similarities with griefers, they are ultimately different from their clearly malign counterparts. Trolls could be described as pure unadulterated chaos with little or no consideration given to the end result of their actions. There are several trolls operating within the SCAF, but it is clear that each of these Helldivers acts of their own accord, doing whatever they want during a mission, often to the detriment of their fellow Helldivers and themselves as well. Trolls will often deploy stratagems at random, calling down orbital precision strikes or napalm barrages without warning. Others may engage in team killing during a mission or even during extraction, which is why they are often confused with griefers. Little is understood about the psychology of trolls, but they are clearly individuals who embrace absurdity and do as they please for the sake of it. It is believed that they will routinely target cadets who have just begun their careers in an effort to demoralize them and get them to quit. In other words, some trolls clearly have ill intent, and so they are to be considered extremely dangerous. Loyalists have several nicknames for them, including fool divers, troll divers, and unwell divers, but the commonly accepted term for them is simply trolls. Since trolls act of their own accord and travel from planet to planet, they have no base of operations or organizational structure. This makes identifying and taking care of them extremely challenging, but nevertheless, the Ministry of Truth is working on apprehending these clearly insane Helldivers. Trolls are to be treated with the same contempt as griefers, so if you and your squad mates encounter one or more of them, you have full permission to neutralize them. We need each and every one of you to help us locate and deal with the trolls, so ensure you do your part.
I'm doing my part!
This final group of traitors is likely the largest and most organized of them all. This also means that they potentially pose the greatest threat to Super Earth and the Federation. The so-called Chaos Divers are, according to those who claim to hail from the faction, neither griefers nor trolls, nor are they bug or bot sympathizers. This group believes that Super Earth has betrayed them by deliberately giving them inferior weapons and stratagems, thus leading to the pointless deaths of countless Helldivers and SCAF personnel. In protest, Chaos Divers simply do not participate in major orders, thus allowing Super Earth's enemies to gain the upper hand and inch closer to our homeworld. This is about the most concrete information the Ministry of Truth currently possesses on the Chaos Divers. At present, there are unconfirmed reports that this rebel faction have made Rogue 5 in the Rigel sector their primary base of operations. Furthermore, its leadership structure allegedly consists of the Council of Five, but the identities of these leaders, or if they even exist at all, is yet to be corroborated. A video called The Chaotic Truth was also recently posted on Super YouTube by one General Meek, who set about explaining the reason for the Chaos Divers' existence. However, nothing is mentioned of Rogue 5 or the Council of Five, and it is unclear exactly what position Meek holds within the Chaos Divers hierarchy. At best, the Chaos Divers are pacifists who simply stand aside and let fate decide how things play out. At worst, they are a group of dangerous anarchists whose presence will allow griefers and trolls to prosper, as many of these traitors will claim to be aligned with the splinter faction. The Ministry of Truth is still assessing the Chaos Divers. Current recommendations range from simply allowing them to continue with their plans unimpeded to executing them outright. However, without conclusive evidence as to the true nature or threat the Chaos Divers pose, no sentence has been passed down as yet. It is entirely likely that the Chaos Divers are hiding in plain sight and simply not participating in major orders, but unless they don the red colors of this group or tell you outright that they belong to the faction, there really is no way to tell who is a loyalist and who is a dissident. We will continue to monitor the situation diligently and provide you all with insights once more evidence comes to light. This concludes this briefing on the 5 types of traitors you will encounter in the field, Helldivers. Ensure that you report any suspicious behavior and provide us with as much intel or insights as you possibly can in the comments section. For Super Earth and democracy, on behalf of the Ministry of Truth, this is the SES signing off.